welcome to Bibliorex, where we read the world's worst books. I'm Bam Bam.
And I'm Regretfully Bugs.
We're all regretful and shameful and kinky today.
A little late for Valentine's Day, but
I think we should be on time.
Well, it's the 15th, and Valentine's was yesterday.
What?
This is coming out the 15th,
no.
and Valentine's is the 14th.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Yep, I don't know how dates work.
No.
I thought
but
you meant...
it's close enough. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Did you think yesterday was actually Valentine's?
Yeah, I was like, wait, I thought it was the 14th.
Lily's gonna murder you. No, I'm speaking in future.
Right.
This will come out the 15th.
I never can get the time dilation right in my head.
It's a get ahead. Anyways, we are doing 50 Shades of Grey.
Yay.
And the game plan that I came up with that seemed like worked for you too is we would do as brief an outline of the story as we could. And then we would just go about every frustration we had with the book and the movie, just every little petty thing that we hated, and not actually try to break down what was problematic or explain to people why this is bad.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of that online.
It's been done to death for sure.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do our best to have fun with this.
Yeah. To start out with, we have to drink Anastasia's favorite drink. I made it just for us. It'll be a little cold.
Fucking water?
It's English breakfast with bag on the side, and then you dip it and immediately pull it out.
Oh, that made me so fucking mad. Getting some nice
ASMR. It looks like piss.
Yeah. It just looks lightly flavored, and it makes me angry.
I have to say, that was one of my biggest angry things.
Should we dink it? Nice.
Cheers. Here is Anastasia's favorite drink. Oh.
Bland and tasteless, like Anna herself.
And her favorite things are bland, boring, and pointless.
Yep, just basic white girl shit at best.
And she didn't put milk or sugar.
No.
It was literally English breakfast dunked and removed.
Yep.
And she had that multiple times, and it was her thing.
Yeah, I don't...
Christian remembers.
Just have hot water.
Just drink hot, or if you're going to do tea like that, do green tea, because there are green teas meant to be brewed for like 30 seconds.
Right. Yeah, Christian does remember all the little things, and that's how you know he cares. You know, that and the hitting.
God. Oh my God.
All right, we got to outline. No, we got to outline the story first. So
this is based on Twilight fanfic. So if you know the story of Twilight, you know the story of 50 Shades of Grey.
More or less.
Innocent girl meets guy with dark secret. In this case, it's BDSM instead of vampirism. He's powerful and rich. She's hunky-dory, normal, plain.
I thought it was being a billionaire instead of being a vampire. I thought that was the through line there.
Well, in Twilight, Bella's trying to figure out Edward's secret. And the secret is he's a vampire.
Oh, okay.
She's trying to figure out Christian's secret, and it's BDSM.
I thought his secret was his horrible, horrible past of being abused.
No, it was definitely the BDSM. Because his family's not allowed to know about it. He makes you sign an NDA. He's very controlling about who knows he's into that lifestyle.
Okay.
So that's how it's built. And I read some stuff about E.L. James. This was originally, I don't even remember the name, but it was a different name when it was a fan fiction.
It was, I was thinking about it today. Damn it. Master of the Universe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was on a storyboard fan fiction website. So it was a serial. Every week she would put out a chapter. But it was very much based in Twilight, and I think it originally had Edward and Bella, and those were the names. And they had to change a few things to get to not break the copyright limitations there.
Yeah. God, this media just got pushed and molded and smoothed out, and it's mediocre at best. I hate this shit.
Anyway, basic storyline. He falls for her because even though she's plain, ordinary, mousy, which was the big appeal about Bella, was she was every girl.
Yeah, anyone could just kind of slip into her shoes because
Yes.
there's no personality to get in the way.
No personality, no particular interests, not particularly beautiful, although in both movies played by beautiful actresses.
Oh, of course.
Because you can't have, a plain Jane person play Bella Swan or Anastasia Steele.
Right. And you can't have someone like in her head as far as like the narration goes in the book, someone too much ego or too down on themselves. So just right there, she's just so middle of the road. She should be the one called Gray.
Yeah, because she is just so bland and boring. Yep. Despite being bland and boring and normal, Christian Grey falls in love with her.
The eccentric billionaire fuckboy.
Yes. And that mirrors Edward's fascination with her, but Edward had that he's addicted to the scent of her blood and he's a vampire, so he can't help it. With Christian, he sees her innocence and is like, I want that. She's naive, fairly young.
Someone, moldable and easily manipulated. And
inexperienced.
Yep.
And he can mold that into what he wants. He pursues her and he has unlimited money, apparently unlimited time, despite running his own billion-dollar company.
And always being busy with it and saving the world's poor.
The world's poor.
God damn it.
And we understand that Edward has unlimited time because he doesn't sleep. So he watches her while she's sleeping.
Yep.
And Edward can be his creepy vampire self, but his excuse is he's a vampire.
Right.
When you turn it into a normal human, it makes the stalker aspect a lot worse.
Yeah, like tracking her phone and
showing up in her room.
Yeah. I keep wanting to go into just individual details.
We'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
She, in the book, doesn't like him, but she's attracted to him. In the movie, she automatically likes him.
Right.
We skip the I don't want to. I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to.
Which is so uncomfortable as you read it, too.
Yes, because she repeatedly says no in the book. But in the movie, we skip all of that. He invited me to coffee. She goes to coffee. They don't argue over coffee. They don't argue over stuff in the movie. They very much smooth
They don't have to logistic where the fucking cars are.
Yes, where everyone is. So, fun. Well, stick with me here. So the point is, he lavishes gifts on her.
Love bombs and then abuses.
Loves bombs and abuses her. She gives him her virginity. She gives him all of her attention and love and time. She trusts him. He says, sign this contract that will make you my sex slave. She says, I have these limitations. I don't want to do these certain things. They try to make it work. They're in a relationship for about 2 weeks, have sex dozens of times. The conflict in the story is she wants a boyfriend and he wants a toy.
Yeah, and they're trying to compromise and meet somewhere in the middle.
And there's no middle between being a person and being a toy.
Right.
Because other BDSM situations, it's more of a case-by-case basis. Like, I'll be this person in this story for this period of time, and it's like an afternoon. A sex situation of like a day.
It's
and
more role-play-ish.
It's role play that is in the moment, and he wants her to role play all the time forever.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a switch when you can just be done with when you want to stop.
Yes.
And
you
for
can
him,
go
it's
home.
just how he wants to be.
Most people who do BDSM will go do the thing and then they go home and live their normal life. He wants this to be, he controls what she eats. He controls when she sleeps. He controls the vehicle she drives.
Yeah, because that's just who he is.
Right. And he is a abusive asshole, but he tries to couch it in this BDSM lifestyle. If you took away the hotness and the money, he's a bastard who beats his girlfriends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's ever since I saw the movie, because I watched the movie with a friend of mine, and that was my first thought. Like, if this dude lived in a fucking trailer and it was fucking shag carpets and he had a mullet, this is fucking Criminal Minds shit. It's awful.
Yes. Which I think is why that you have to make him super hot. So hot.
And in the movie, boy, is
God
he.
is hot. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do some simping in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're trying to do this conflict, and he repeatedly shows up in her space, gets in where she is, makes decisions for her. Until at the end of the story, she's like, I don't understand what you really want. Show me what it is you actually want to do to me.
And what he wants is to hurt her.
What he wants is to physically hurt her. So she bends over a bench and he hits her with a belt as hard as he can, and 6 times in a row.
Now, in the book, she says no, right?
Right.
And he keeps going.
And in the movie,
they changed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a huge difference. Multiple conversations. In the book, she said no. And in the book, he took anyway. In the movie, they tried really hard to give her
really
more
caressed
autonomy.
his character.
And they made him a lot nicer in the movie. Okay, so that's the climactic scene. He beats her with a belt on her butt, and she's crying.
Yep.
She's sobbing. And he's shocked that she's upset.
Fucking everything in the story would lead you to think what okay.
Hold on.
I'm waiting.
Couple more sentences.
I'm holding it.
Hold on. Suck it in.
This is like edging.
This is the climax of the story, the big contention. She wants a boyfriend, he wants a toy. She says, I'm not your toy, you will never hit me again, and she leaves. That was the only part of the book I liked. That was the only part of the movie.
Yeah, where she actually fucking stood up for
herself. She
herself.
says no and walks out. She gives him back the car, the keys, the laptop, the BlackBerry, and she says no. That is the sum of the story with lots of stupid shit in between. But that was a fucking 19-hour audiobook. And the movie was better because it was so much shorter.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it, because I was like, you know what, the movie is so much better, and I kept thinking, why is the movie so much better? It's because I had to spend less time with Christian Grey.
And
bland, boring white girl.
Which the actress was really good, and she is really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the movie was good.
Except E.L. James, who was a producer and fucked it up for everybody else.
On purpose. She literally would not let them make a movie unless she was co-producer and had veto rights on the scenes. So they said, we want to have a BDSM expert to come in and help us make this better. And she said, no.
Yeah, because she doesn't actually know anything about BDSM.
No. And she didn't want it to be real BDSM. She wanted it to be this specific fantasy. Okay, folks, that was the intro.
Yep, we're done with that.
Now we get to have feelings.
Okay, disclaimer. I've watched the movie twice.
I watched it once today.
And the book, I got to like the last hour of it, and I just didn't have time this week. And it's fine. I've read enough reviews. I know what happens at the end. It's fine. It doesn't
the only thing that's better is, the movie makes it a little bit shorter and more concise.
Yeah.
But the book they both end pretty much the same, I think.
And I listened to 10 hours of a book I hate at 2.5 times speed. And boy, that actually improved the experience, actually.
You know what? I was listening to it to normal speed for a while. And then I kept messaging the group and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I finally put it on 1.7 and they sounded a little bit like chipmunks. And that made it so much better.
I've listened to so much bad audio, mostly ours, that it's fine. It just, the chipmunk speak and the really fast talking, it's fine. I don't hear it anymore.
Right.
Was there anything particular about the book at the beginning that really bothered you? Because most of my notes are on the movie.
I have a perspective that I think is original.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do tell.
And I thought about this really hard. And Jay was very sad he couldn't be here today because he was like, this is going to be so much fun. All right. Set the scene. You're watching Harry Potter for the first time. And you don't know what Hogwarts is, but neither does Harry. You walk into this world of magic, following the main character who is as clueless as you are. You learn about magic with Harry, and it's not exposition, because you're experiencing it with him.
Right. That's kind of what
That's how they do the world building. That's what his purpose is. It's the hero's journey, but he is the lens through which we see new and different. So you don't have, as you know, blah, 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 because the people within it already know the world.
Makes the exposition a little bit more organic.
Makes it more organic, makes it more fun, and often makes it better writing.
Especially for children.
Especially for people.
Which is the target audience of Harry Potter.
Yes. Similar to Narnia. We go with Lucy through the wardrobe, and we meet talking animals, and we just meet a satire. And we go with Lucy, and we meet talking animals, and we meet Mr. Tumnus, and we see this fantasy world. It's really interesting because we have never been in this world. This world is new and exciting and fun.
And now we're in Seattle.
We are entering the world of orgasms.
Oh my God.
With Anna Steele, who is a virgin, and this is a new world that no one has experienced except for her. And she is our lens into this world of a man who pays attention to her, gives her orgasms. And that doesn't work because other normal people know how sex works.
Right. I mean, that's...
It's like having Harry Potter and the real world has wands and says, no, they're made out of metal in a factory. They're not made out of goat bone. It would be if you had the rules completely wrong. And that's what's wrong with this book is the rules are wrong and the way people behave is wrong. And if you're a normal person who's had sex, you know what they're doing is not real in the world. But this was a fantasy that E.L. James wrote, and she wanted to re-enter the mind of being a virginal college student and be introduced to the world of sex.
And basically going back to the womb or going back to being an idealized childhood or something.
And then I read about her, and she was 49 when she wrote this.
I didn't know that.
She was a middle-aged woman.
Oh, wow.
Who had children who were like middle school, teenager, something like that. Which really tells you a lot about her husband.
Ooh, boy.
And I think the big difference between this and Twilight is the focus is sex. Whereas Twilight, the author's Mormon, and she's like, no sex until marriage. Heavy petting is bad. We can't even do soaking.
I'm not looking forward to doing Twilight.
We'll have to do it at some point. People will expect it of us.
I don't want it.
I'm surprised we did this before we did Twilight.
Yeah,
honestly.
well, it was because Valentine's Day was coming up and that just fit better.
Which you picked this one. You had the choice.
Yeah, it just seemed thematically correct.
I know. Do you regret it?
I regret everything.
So that is my perspective, is that she was trying to, if you were 18-year-old me who actually had never kissed a boy, reading this, it would have felt exactly the same as reading Harry Potter and being introduced to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
But because other people in the world have pretty strong opinions about BDSM and consent and spanking and all of these things that she writes about, it doesn't work. And we're like, hey, that's really fucked up. You shouldn't have read it this way. This is wrong. This is written badly.
Yeah. And the writing.
The writing is so bad.
It's abysmal. Like her mental narration is so...
The dialogue.
Oh.
Here's the other thing, too. Anastasia was 3 people. The whole...
Yeah, she was like fighting 2 of her subconscious selves, and then you've got the actual...
You have inner goddess,
Anastasia.
You have subconscious. Does she not understand the meaning of subconscious? Because it doesn't speak to you. It's underneath your consciousness.
Right. Yeah.
I hated that so much.
I just felt like it was a metaphor.
It could have been, but the metaphor of inner goddess works. She could have used something else.
Yeah.
My prudish marm, school marm.
Yeah.
My inner Tess Darbovel or whatever.
That would have been better.
My inner school marm would have worked so much better than my subconscious. Who's doing pole vaulting half the book? I don't get it.
I don't know.
So yeah, that was my comment at this book was she wrote a fantasy and this would be intriguing and interesting to women who've never had an orgasm. Yeah. I think that was her audience as well.
That makes sense. See, I didn't come at this from that anywhere near that perspective. As a man, I had to come at this, and the only character I had to identify with was Christian. And boy, do I,
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Oh boy. Okay, so as a man, sometimes you just have to be aware that you're coming off a certain way.
Right.
And it's just a reality that more times often than not, you're just going to come off creepy. And boy, Christian just sets off some red flags.
Yeah.
He really sets me off as the kind of guy that has no social understanding.
Yes.
And he only knows like the thing he wants, and he just directly comes up and like asks in like the most straightforward and jarring way.
Yes.
Like I know guys from school that were like that, and you know what? They weren't at all charming. I'm pretty sure all of Christian Grey's money is his charm.
Yes. I did feel like Christian Grey movie was more charming simply because the actor was so good.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to embody better manners and better charm simply by the body expressions, the physical movement.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the book, we're only in Anastasia's head, so we only get her read of his body.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very bad at reading body cue
And
as
speaking
well.
of his body...
Which one? Book or movie?
I don't care about... Okay, the only thing that really sticks out in book Christian's body is his well-endowed, well-built schlong. And here's my question.
Oh my.
Do you think he... do you think he's circumcised or not? Because it doesn't say.
It doesn't say, but
I
think
feel like it
probably
should have
is.
said.
I think
Yeah.
he probably is.
Yeah.
Which that is one part that I really did appreciate about the book is they talked to condoms every time.
Yeah.
They talked birth control.
It felt
every
almost
time.
like a condom commercial at times because they just kept unwrapping and showing
It did,
condom.
but the fact that they completely skip him putting on the condom in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
I hate that
Yeah.
part where it's like they never show you paying for the cab. They never show the guy putting on the condom. And we could have so much more safe sex in the U.S. if you just bothered to show him ripping open a packet. Don't need to see his dong. Don't need to see him put it on.
Yeah.
But just the acknowledgement that he used a condom and
Yeah.
enjoyed the sex would be so beneficial for so many people.
Yeah, it would. So we can give E.L. James a point for that, I guess.
That was probably one of the few places I was like, okay, the fact that they're talking STDs, he gets tested, they talk about birth control, they
Yeah.
talk about periods. They have period sex in the book
Yeah.
and not in the movie. So I think I felt like, okay, a couple of this is like,
Some of the stuff is kind of sex positive,
yeah,
but just as much of it wasn't.
I know. And that was, oh God, infuriating.
Okay, the virgin thing. He
goes off.
He goes ape shit because she's a virgin. He wants to
We
pull
have
out
to
all the fucking stops now that he knows that she's a virgin. It's like, oh, I'm gonna sleep in the fucking... She's getting in my goddamn helicopter.
Yes.
So
Here's
at
the
first
other
he's
part of it.
mad.
He's mad, but here's how it goes. He is asking her about, what is it, anal fisting or something obscene? Like they're talking hardcore what they do
Yeah.
during sex. And she admits, I've never had sex, so she doesn't know what she likes. She doesn't know what she doesn't like. He's pissed off, right? But she goes from being a complete virgin and like has kissed a guy, period, to learning about fisting, clamps, suspension, plugs, dildos.
Yeah, and it's all...
submissive, dominance, all in the same day. Literally.
It's
Within
all
the
lollipops
day.
and candy canes for her because she doesn't know the difference. And everything right now is just honeymoon and orgasms. So she's going to say yes to whatever he says.
Right.
In the name of continuing this going because she's having a good time.
And
he knows
having a
that
good
she'll
time
agree.
because he realizes he can't hit her before he has sex with her. He has to love bomb her with orgasm after orgasm and kissing and sucking and on 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 and on.
And manipulation after manipulation.
Yes, before he can hit her, which is what he's waiting for.
Right.
He's doing all this stuff with her.
Yeah, all of this is just emotional finagling until he can get to the point where he can hit her and she won't run
leave.
away.
She won't leave.
Which is what he's
so
really afraid of.
Classic abuse pattern. And here was the other part of it that I really felt like my Harry Potter analogy worked, was if you had taken little Harry Potter, given him a wand, and said, okay, now go fight a Death Eater. First day. That's what she's walking into sex-wise.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, penetrative sex doesn't have to be your first intro into sex.
Oh.
There's a lot of steps between kissing to anal fisting. Like, there's so many steps you could take along the way before you need to get to that point.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
When they actually do have sex for the first time, and he just rams his shit right in.
Oh, I was
Oh my
pissed.
God. I was like, you motherfucker.
I was angry. This felt like rape. This felt like him saying, you know what, I got this far. I'm going to take what I can right now.
And in the movie, it's just gentle.
It's so sweet and loving, and she's enjoying it.
Fuck this book.
Fuck E.L. James.
Yeah. Fuck
This-
Christian.
God. And I was like, I understand what you're trying to do. You're horny and you want to build these fantasies.
Build tension.
And you want to be turned on. And this is your way of writing erotica that you find hot.
Yeah.
Which, in those scenarios of people who are in consensual BDSM, you know, people can pretend, no. That's why they have code words, red or yellow, or these or the different things that people can do to signal stop or slow down.
Yeah.
I don't like this. The author goes about it so that Anna cannot refuse, because Anna believes the minute she says no, he's just
gonna
leave
run.
her.
Yeah, he'll drop
He
her
will
like a
leave
fucking
her.
rock.
You can't have consent if it's coercive, and that's basically love. That's coercive love. Like, what is it that Andrew Tate did to his girlfriends?
Oh,
where he
the
used
lover boy method.
the lover boy method.
Yeah.
This felt like if he had actually, Christian Grey had given her to a friend, that was the exact scenario as what Andrew Tate did.
Yeah.
And now she's emotionally invested. Now she loves him. Now she's had good sex. And so if she leaves, she loses all of it. And then he fucking sells her car and buys her a BlackBerry, so she has to be on call at all times.
See, in the movie, I felt like it actually did that worse, because he stole her car and sold it like without
her even knowing. And she didn't say anything. And in the book, she called it Wanda, and it was her favorite thing, and Jose kept the maintenance, and her dad had it, and blah, 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 blah.
And God, what a classist asshole. Fuck.
Oh my God. That can't be safe. That can't be safe.
That car's over 20 years old. Fuck you.
And then I was like, okay, this was the thing. This was our other little thing. Jay and I bought a Volkswagen Beetle in 2011. We overpaid. We spent $3,000 on that Beetle. She got $24,000 for her Beetle in the book.
What?
To me, that was the most unrealistic thing in the whole fucking book.
What the fuck?
She got $24,000 for a 70s Beetle in 2011. The same year I bought a little, and they were nowhere near worth that anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Portland does not make them more valuable than East Coast.
That's fucking...
We drove 4 hours to get ours, and it was we thought it was a steal at $3,000, but then we could not resell it because they were actually not worth that much. So. And it's like, come on, you couldn't just look up a blue book value of this car.
Yeah, I think that was, number one, either a lie from
and he
Christian.
was overpaying her,
right?
Possible.
So how in the movie did you appreciate the twilighting cinematography they did?
I thought some of the cinematography was done really well.
I felt like everyone did their fucking job perfect for the movie. Yes,
as far as they were allowed without pissing off E.L. James.
Yeah, except for the story bits and stuff like that. I thought it was great. So in the first scene, I know it's a real big trope in movies, like especially horror movies, for women to just be horrible klutzes and just fall down constantly. But a fucking ghost pushes that woman through that door, going into Christian's office.
Yeah, I think the idea also is he sees her on her knees, and that's why he wants her. And I think that is a big part of foreshadowing for this author.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's just kind of a vulnerability thing, just in general, because that's why they do it in horror movies. It's because it sells how vulnerable the victim is before they get stabbed.
But also, it's like playing back to that any girl mentality and view. Because most people can be like, oh yeah, I'm a klutz. Fewer people are like, I'm a ballet dancer who has perfect grace and poise.
Yeah.
And I think where you're aiming at your lowest common denominator of reader. Yeah. And it's possible E.L. James herself really liked that part of Bella.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, she's a klutz. She's not special. She's not graceful. Why would he like me when I just fall over?
Yeah.
But then also he rescues her from that bicyclist. Oh my god! She almost
that was a stand-in moment for in Twilight when Edward stops a car from sliding into Bella, and I'm just like, that was so pitiful.
I should have written a count of how many Twilight moments I found because her mom's new husband breaks his ankle golfing instead of playing baseball, and that's why she misses graduation. Her dad's name is Ray instead of Charlie.
I was bummed out he didn't have the mustache.
I know. That may have been too close to a copyright infringement. God, Elliot was just Emmett, obviously.
Yeah.
The only one Kate Kavanaugh didn't really have a correlation in
was it one of the schoolgirls or one of her school
She wasn't
friends,
really
maybe?
good friends with any girls in Twilight.
I'm not as familiar with Twilight, so
because she was more competitive with them and they didn't like her very much.
Yeah,
but I did feel like Kate Kavanaugh was her protective person.
Yeah, I was rooting for Kate Kavanaugh so much
that part
because she was right
She
consistently.
was right the whole time. I don't like him. Every time you're with him, you cry. He's a bastard. Something about him is wrong. I don't like this. Why are you still seeing him? And I think Elliot was the eye candy to get her off of Christian's case.
Oh, I've got a note from Lily. As we were watching this movie and just listening, I think it was at the moment where Christian says, I don't make love. I fuck
hard.
Lily just turned to me and said, I could not let this baby man dominate me. Because he's got the clean shaven face and he's so cherubic and pretty, and she's just super not into
Doesn't like your face right now, then.
No, she doesn't.
You shouldn't have got rid of the beard.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So does Christian just assume that Anna likes Jane Austen because he's sexist? Is that what it is?
She's an English lit major, and in the movie they make more point of that.
Right. In the movie it's Jane Austen, but in the book, it's someone else. I can't.
Tom Hardy, I think.
Yeah, I think it is Tom Hardy. I don't know shit about classical literature, so that's
I know
well
I
beyond
read
me.
that book when I was a teenager. I never enjoyed Jane Austen or
just
those...
a stuffy old thing.
I didn't relate to them because I've never been girly.
Man.
I've never enjoyed like a lot of chick flicks or girly stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably part of why this was so painful.
Yeah.
Because that's just not my thing. But I think she actually does talk about it to him. And where she was not in the journalism club or on the newspaper, she was an English lit major, and her friend was the journalist.
That's what it is. He assumes that she likes Jane Austen in one of their conversations, and she tells him that she likes Tom Hardy because she's not like other girls.
Oh, God. Whereas all of those books are so similar in character and just plot and all that stuff.
Oh, and her roommate having the flu at the beginning of the movie. You could tell this was before COVID.
Yes.
I was like, God damn it, I wish Christian Grey would have just gotten the flu at this point.
Right.
So Lily told me a weird thing that this reminded her of. Something about Christian girls having rape fantasies so that they can fantasize about having sex without going to hell.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that's so weird to me.
And also, in that culture, you're not allowed to be dominant or consensually having sex.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a sex drive, that's considered bad. And that's one of the few ways of like, oh, I could be having sex and it's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's gross, it's bad, and it's also very problematic. And it's in those churches where you're not allowed. Like, a lot of those churches would have the chewed gum analogy, or
oh god,
where you're doing the thing and they're like, after you have sex, you're chewed gum, and no one wants to chew gum after me. Or after that first time. And the petal bud, like you pass around a rose and each person pulls a petal off. And at the end, that's what you look like after you've had sex with those people. It's a human body as a commodity.
Right.
And not...
That's your social capital.
Yeah.
Is your promiscuity.
Which I found interesting that Anastasia's a bit of a prude in her viewpoints about how many sexual partners he's had. And she's like, well, I've only wanted to have sex with you. No, of course I haven't had sex with anyone else. And she's almost this waiting for the one. And then he's been having sex with all these other people, but that's fine because it's him.
Right. Because even in the book, she thinks, oh, that's less than I expected when he says 15.
Right. And then he's like, well, he had expected her to have sex, but not be attached to anyone else. Or like, I mean, he was sussing out to see if she was with the kid who worked in the hardware store.
Well, I mean, he's
Jose.
Jealous of fucking everybody in her life. He's jealous of her mom.
She literally goes and visits her mom, messages Christian and says, miss you, wish you were here.
And he takes that as,
oh, I should fly across the country to see her then, and shows up and criticizes how many drinks she's had.
Yeah, good.
And you know what? It's implied, but not said, that he put her in first class and bought the seat next to her so that there would be no one for her to talk to.
Of course. Okay.
It's not explained or explicitly said that that's what he did, but she suspects he did.
Yeah.
And has no proof. Like, what the hell?
So,
and even Catherine Kavanaugh points out, this isn't normal. Like, this is not good.
Yeah, this is manipulative behavior.
He should not be trying to isolate you from your friends. Jose is just a friend.
Which is
You've told him Jose is just a friend, right?
So about Jose, I hate that there's only one named non-white character in this book, and that character had to be the sexual assaulting friend.
He was in the friend zone. She was drunk. He was drunk. And he was like, well, if I make my move now, maybe we can have sex. Which in the book, she'd never been drunk before.
Right.
So they're like making her even more naive. And I was like, I don't buy it. She's a senior. She's graduating from college. And she lives with, she's like, 21 or 22. And Catherine Kavanaugh parties and buys wine and they drink all the time at her house. They have wine with like every meal.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me she is that virginal and inexperienced at life when she's a senior in college.
Well, here's the thing. She was locked in a small white room only eating saltines for 21 years until they let her out and let her go to learn literature. And then she got to meet Christian Grey like a week after.
It really does feel like a android got printed, put in the final week of school, and presented to us and put into this character.
Yeah, I understand like making a character kind of bland and kind of vague so that you can graft yourself onto them, but she's a little too bland.
That part of it is exactly the benefit and drawback of fan fiction. Because if you are reading it thinking this is Bella, you can attach all of Bella's attributes to her, and the author can just skip all of that.
Yep.
Completely skip Edward and his personality. We can give him the mood swings and give him these other reasons for being rich.
God, are there some fucking mood swings? I hate this guy. I hate it so much.
And it was so stupid that they wanted a Jacob, but they don't use him, and she's not attracted to him.
Yeah, was Jose supposed to be?
He's the Jacob stand-in.
What? He's barely there.
He's barely there, but it's because she was doing the Twilight fan fiction, and that's why she made him brown.
That's great. I hate that. Yep.
And even multiple times, they talk about how perfect his white skin is. Christian Grey's white skin, and how perfect her white skin is. Multiple times. Yeah. And then they try to say, oh, he's so beautiful brown. My whole family knows him and loves him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like lip service.
Shitty. So shitty. Don't even pull that crap with me.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Well, besides the classism and the racism, how did you feel about the sex room? Because my first thought was, oh my God, look at this incredibly vanilla sex room.
I mean, it had basic BDSM toys. Yeah. It didn't have anything extreme.
Right.
And they don't do any electricity. They don't do any real serious bondage. Like they do in the movie, they do some ropes. They have handcuffs.
Yeah.
But honestly, it seemed like it was fairly basic stuff. And that also told me that E.L. James knows almost, she'd probably never even watched BDSM porn.
Right.
She probably didn't even read real BDSM erotica.
Yeah. I remember watching this, and I was like, whenever the movie came out and I watched it, I was incredibly underwhelmed by the sex room.
And I think that's the other part, too, is if you took it from this perspective of the audience is an 18-year-old girl who hasn't had sex and was raised Christian. Wow, this is scary.
Yeah.
This is enticing.
Well, yeah,
this is horrifying. And then you have other people who are like, yeah, I've been watching porn since I was 15. I've seen all that.
I'm one of
I've
those.
Seen more. I've seen way more than that. That's not so.
But yeah, I can imagine the kind of person that would be intrigued or blown away by that sex room. Someone else in their 50s, like E.L. James.
Someone else who
has been having bland vanilla sex with
and
them.
has never had an orgasm. Has 4 kids and has to read erotica to have any feelings of arousal or interest in anything.
Yeah.
And whose husband is probably just a very boring accountant who knows nothing about sex and doesn't care either.
Yep, goes in the bedroom, plugs in, and dumps his load and leaves.
Yeah,
goes to bed.
Literally just does not. Vibrant sex life is not what you would call that. The author and where their perspective is coming from is so hugely important. Because when we did A Planet Called Treason, and a few of these other books, learning about the author and understanding where they were in their life really helps you
contextualize a lot of stuff.
And also pull apart where it's like, maybe they wrote the best book they could at the time, but this should not have been published.
Yeah.
This should have been sent back. This should have been edited. And E.L. James refused to let this be edited. She said, no, I want this to be exactly the way it is. This is my own personal fantasy. And that's why she wouldn't let the movie get changed, because this was her personal fantasy.
That's so... you can just have an unedited copy for yourself if you just want to keep it to yourself. But no, that's an ego thing.
That is a serious ego thing. I think when I was reading about it, the fan fiction website, it actually caused a lot of controversy. But because of the way that website was designed, the more notes you had or the more comments, the higher it went to the front page.
And more gets pushed forward.
Got more attention and more notes and more controversy, which got more attention. And that's why it had gotten so much attention, which is why a publishing house was even willing to look at it.
Right.
And they had wanted to have an editor go over it. And she
refused.
Flat refused. It was like the only thing I think was willing to do was to change the names of characters to prevent it from being copyright.
Yeah.
And enough of the story elements that were very specific to Twilight.
Yeah, and I guess the publishing houses and stuff just really badly wanted to jump on this because the entire internet's collective crotches were frothing for this.
Which I don't understand.
Yeah.
There is so much erotica, so many romance novels. I don't understand how this developed into what it was. I really don't. You know what really killed me? Can I bare my soul?
Yeah, do
Can I
it.
tell you my heart?
Yeah. I got a horse thing after that, but
parts of it turned me on.
Oh.
And I felt so ashamed.
No, you should be.
I was driving.
Shame.
And I had to turn it off and listen to our episode of Eat Them Alive. And listening to them talking about mantids eating babies made me feel a lot better.
Wow. You should be ashamed.
I was so ashamed.
You're a criminal.
And that was the only part that was like, okay, I can see why this sold. Because I don't generally do erotica. Yeah. I don't do romance. I don't do... That's just not how I roll. And some of it, and I think the part of it was because it was from being inside of her head, and for parts of the book, Anastasia's having a really good time. Yeah. It's very few and far between. And Christian Grey is an absolute abusive asshole.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I don't think I ever could have gotten into this because he's my identification point in this book. So it just doesn't feel right because I disrespect him so much. I don't think he should be allowed to have sex.
That was a journey. That was a ride. Yeah. I had always sworn I would never, ever read this book. I had because back when this came out, I was, very heavily Christian. I didn't really read romance novels. Yeah. I didn't read erotica. And then the movie came out and I was busy having kids and other stuff. I didn't have time for that shit. Yeah. And then even now, I allow myself to read what I want and watch what I want, and it doesn't matter because I don't feel like you attach morality to what you see unless you're actively paying for stuff that is harmful and is not consensual. Yeah. I think the porn that you consume should be ethically sourced and should be paid for from companies that take care of their people. But I'm like, I don't think there's a moral attachment, a moral, issue with porn personally.
Right.
But I had never, ever, ever cared about this. And then we were discussing Valentine's Day stuff, and I was like, oh, God, we could do that one. Because just reading quotes. And she says, oh, my, 3 times a page.
I would have
Holy fuck. Holy shit. Holy cow. Oh, my God.
Oh, sidebar about the sex room. The leather rack of just leather implements on the wall.
Weird, right?
I'm pretty sure a lot of that was just straight horse tack. So for the listeners, Lily and I have horses.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they were actual bridles. You would put them on a horse's face is what they look like to us.
I don't remember. I didn't pay close attention. I was actually doing laundry and trying to do other stuff at the same time. Did they even have ball gags or normal, other fetish stuff?
I know a ball gag was mentioned in the book, but I don't remember seeing one in the movie. Right. So I don't know. But yeah, that got me to thinking, did BDSM like this start with people who had horses? Who else would have that much access to leather in that fashion?
I don't know.
It's weird to think about now. I don't.
Yeah.
When it got started, way back in the day, whenever it historically started, I have no idea.
Right.
If it got started in the 1800s, exclusively horse riding clubs were also BDSM clubs.
I'm sure humans have been doing forms of BDSM since they figured out how to do sex. Because basically, bondage is just holding someone's hands down or tying their hands
in increasingly intricate ways.
Yes. And then, one of them is in charge and one of them is willing to do what the other one wants. I mean, that's on the very basic level. That's what it is. And then, you can have aspects of pain, but that could just be biting someone's neck. Yeah. It hurts and it feels good. Okay. Yeah. So you can really, it can be as plain and ordinary or as intricate and exotic as you want. But the current BDSM community is very much about consent and being safe.
Yeah.
And I was reading some stuff about, like, it needs to be safe and sane. And, like, multiple times in the book, he got her drunk. Multiple times.
Oh, yeah. He got her drunk while negotiating their contract, ostensibly to make her more honest, which, fuck you.
Fuck off. And I noticed in the book, she would be too uncomfortable around him to eat a full meal. And then she'd get home and be starving and eat. And I'm like, that is such an abuse symptom. That is such a symptom of you didn't feel safe. You couldn't digest. You were in fight or flight.
She never feels safe around him.
No,
like,
and she doesn't know what his mood is going to be.
so intense, like at the best of times.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then she gets home and then she starts eating and bursts into tears because she's around Kate and she feels safe again. And it's like, this is so abusive. And you know what she knows is abusive. The entire book.
In the book, it's so much,
she knows this is abusive. She calls him a control freak. She uses the word
assault.
Yes.
To describe the first spanking in the movie. Or in the book. Ugh.
She felt assaulted. He cried.
Yeah, because it was a fucking assault.
Yeah. And like when she says, haha, it was nice knowing you, she meant it as a joke. He thought she was rejecting him. And he came over and
broke into her house.
Yes. And then in the movie, it's explicit that she's consenting. In the book, it is not. In the book, she is not consenting and she's actually scared. And he does sex to her.
Yeah.
It's not like holds her down and rape her and she's crying, but it's very much I'm doing this to you now. And she is silent. Yeah. And it's so uncomfortable and gross.
And the part where she like starts crying after the spanking and he like breaks back into her house and Kate's there and she's just like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And like tries to get him to leave and he just won't. Even if Anna was consenting to have him in her house, I don't think Kate should have.
No, and Kate was so much more sensible in just every way.
Yeah, Kate wasn't a fucking empty airhead.
I know. And that part was just so upsetting because you're making your main character be naive to the point of stupidity. But she's also knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She knows he's being controlling. She's like, you're not going to tell me what to eat.
Yeah,
I don't want to exercise 4 days a week. You cannot make me sleep 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
I can do these things that I want. I don't want these books. I don't want $14,000 books.
I feel like those moments were just kind of, I don't know how to feel about that because it's so inconsistent. Like she's so naive, but she's so aware at the same time.
Right. And it's like, why? Why are you doing it like
anything
this?
with sex? Okay, this is my big thing with like romances in general, really. Like the characters are like engineered to be perfect for these situations and I know it's literally contrived, but it feels weird to me. I can't quite explain why, because she's just naive with like sex stuff and stuff like that. And that's what Christian likes. And then with everything else, she's like aware and intelligent. And that's also what Christian likes. Like it really has like a build a girlfriend vibe to me. And I don't like that.
And it felt complicated because in some ways it was like she is choosing to do these things. She is driving over and saying, no, I'll meet you there. She is reading the contract and then signing it. She is saying no to fisting and vaginal clamps and all these things. And then she's also just... I find it so weird. He doesn't like take her in there and be and just like take a cane and like smack her leg and let her smack his leg. He doesn't do anything with her that's true experimentation. she doesn't get to play with any of this because she's the toy and he's the user.
Yeah, he doesn't see any situation in which that she would ever be using the cane on him.
Right, even though supposedly he had been a sub. And that's, we forgot to bring up, he was molested at 15.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that because I don't like him.
He was introduced to sex.
God, his
by
backstory.
So gross. His mom's friend was
Molested
into
him
BDSM and she introduced him to BDSM.
15-year-old.
A 15-year-old boy and made him
fucking...
her submissive for 6 years.
That's gross.
And here's the biggest complaint I saw online is that it was linking BDSM with someone who's broken and it's linking abuse with kinky sex. And that is not at all how that works.
Yeah.
Loads of people have kinky sex and then go have a normal life. That is the part of their life and that's how they enjoy themselves. And then they go and drive a bus or drop off your mail. They just are normal people.
Yeah.
It's so gross that they make it. He likes BDSM because he's fucked
broken
up.
And fucked up.
He is broken and fucked up.
50 Shades of fucked up.
My Mr. 50 Shades.
Oh, God. Every time in the book Anna said the word shades in her head, I was like, ugh, fine, I get it. And like sometimes I was like 7 Shades of Scarlet, or she also said like 7. He's gonna beat 7 shades of shit out of me.
And a couple parts like that, it was like, okay, you're playing on a theme. This part's not so bad, I guess. But it's like the other part of it that I was explaining to Jay was Christian wants a toy and he is only allowed to touch her. She is not allowed to touch him. Even to the point of can't touch his chest, can't touch his arms. She's allowed to suck him off. She's allowed to touch his hair sometimes. But he's allowed to touch any part of her and do any part of anything he wants to. Whenever he wants, and that's in the contract. Use any of these toys on her because he wants absolute control. And she knows from day one he's a control freak, and she doesn't like that. She meets him and is like, Mr. Control Freak, glad I'm never going to see him again.
Yeah, and that's the way it should have been. Hey, did you notice that every time he starts love bombing in the movie, they go flying?
Helicopter, glider, anywhere else?
Because
she flies to Atlanta and he buys her which that wasn't in the movie. He doesn't upgrade her ticket in the movie.
So is every time they go flying like the hold on spider monkey moment in the Twilight movie?
I'm not sure.
Because that's what I like imagining that anyway.
It could be. It mostly felt like he was trying to woo her in a romantic way. And the only romantic thing he can think of is to show off his shiny toys. I don't know. I just know I was disappointed with my life choices.
Oh, what does Christian have to do at his job that he has to physically be in his office for? Because every time we see him working in the book or in the movie, he's just on the phone.
I know. I don't think he really has a job or really does any work.
Yeah, it seems like all he's doing is like coordinating other people to do shit.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
But he had to leave Georgia at the most inopportune moment so that he could be physically in his office to take phone calls so that the plot could happen there.
Something I was reading, and I don't know if they talk about it in later books or anything, was that he was upset at the end that emergency that he had to leave Georgia was a shipment of food being sent to Africa got delayed or stolen or something big happened. And that's partly of why he was angry and why he beats her at the end. He had a reason to take out his anger and she was like, fine, show me how bad it's going to be.
Yeah, it was show me the worst. And she just gets... Like, in the movie, it's just a harder whipping, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it Anna that says it, or is it Christian? It's Anna that says it. She says, I've fallen in love with you. And in the movie, it looks like Christian is visibly going to vomit.
It was that way in the book, too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no,
Yeah.
you cannot fall in love with me. I am not lovable. I cannot be loved.
Mm-hmm.
This is sick.
And then in the movie, the actual whipping itself, the slow motion choir whipping, and I was like, this is heavy handed, even for this moment. Like, I know it's supposed to be a big moment in the movie, but that's a little too much. And then I just enjoyed her flat rejection of Christian at the end. That made me feel a little warm and fuzzy.
I did like how after she meets him at the beginning, he walks her to the elevator.
Yeah.
And it's the Anastasia Christian.
Yeah.
And it's that end of the movie. And then when it closed, it was like click. And it was the end. And I really...
That was good.
That was my happy place. It's over.
I remember when I was watching it in the theaters. Oh my God. Everyone went fucking ballistic.
Oh God.
Just so many screaming women that hadn't read the book.
Oh
my God.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my friend, she was just like, is that how it ends? God.
Which I was like, good.
Yeah.
I was so happy that she dumps his ass and walks out.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And I did like that they addressed the fact that she needed the money from her car. She's dropping off the laptop. And like she, even in the book, she's like, God, he's going to buy me a penthouse and then I'll really be stuck. And she manages to leave before he does that.
Yeah.
But she's aware at every point of, he's buying me a BlackBerry so that he can get a hold of me at any time. He's giving me a laptop. You know
Crowding out her options over time.
Yes. I hated in the audiobook listening to them read every email.
Oh my God. That
it felt like half
torture.
of the book was just reading sexting.
Or
I don't even enjoy my own sexting. I don't even do that shit. I don't want to read someone else's. It was so stupid. And then in the narrator's voice of Saturday, 17:57 p.m. from Christian Grey to Anastasia Steele.
We could even in the, just actually reading it. That's what you would do is you just skip over that.
Yes.
And it doesn't. It's not necessary. We could have went without that. It would have been fine. Which she was E.L. James while doing the serialized version originally was probably just padding
and those
word
could
count
be
a little bit.
little mini episodes of emails between them or whatever. God fucking damn. This was disgusting and annoying. And, you know, I did not understand the family dynamic either because he grew up with a crack whore mom and he had new hunger as a baby. He doesn't remember it. And even explicitly says he doesn't even remember his early childhood.
If they try
He's
to make
adopted at 4 by a pediatrician mother and some businessman father. So he's raised with wealth in this loving family and everyone else in it is normal. So I did not understand what point they're really trying to make here.
I feel like I don't know if E.L. James wanted to have a point there. I feel like she just wanted a sad backstory for Christian. Like if she made it any sadder, they would have just covered him in like kicked puppies.
Yeah, because I was just like, I mean, obviously, damage to you when you're very little lasts
it can affect your whole life. But
it does, but it was like
that caused his entire personality.
But he's also a successful businessman who manages to run a $1 billion company.
Well, no,
his entire family thinks he's normal. He's been doing this since he was 15, and nobody knows. I just call bullshit. Like,
well, I mean, no one would give a shit about him if he was poor, if he had these character flaws.
Oh, yeah, obviously. If he was Joe Schmo who looked normal and didn't have billions of dollars, this is just an abusive boyfriend fantasy.
I think we got it. Oh, God. Fuck you, F. E.L. James. Fuck you and fuck Christian Grey. Fuck Twilight, fuck Stephanie Meyer.
Yes.
Fuck our podcast for bringing it up again.
This was, oh my God, this is so bad. I don't know if there is any redeemable qualities I could pull out of this. The only parts, like in the movie, the opening with the elevator and the leaving with the elevators, that's the only parts that I can actually point to as being good storytelling.
Yeah. Okay, I will defend the story a little bit. This is kind of, it's iconic, but is it good kind of thing? Because it did kind of normalize talking about all of this stuff in public.
True.
This might have been a little bit of my own sheltered life at this point, but I don't think anyone really talked about kink and stuff and their sex life quite as openly until this came out, and then everyone was just fucking talking about it.
Right.
And I feel like that kind of normalized things a little bit, which I thought was good.
Yeah, that is true.
And I don't think anyone has gotten any more abusive just because of this book. It might have made some people a little more receptive to abuse, which is a definite bad thing.
I read about a guy who did one of these scenes from the movie, and he got arrested and sent to jail for sexual assault.
Well, I've been wrong.
Yeah. So I do think that it taught people kink unsafely. I think it normalized unsafe kink. Yeah. And I saw that as one of the biggest criticism online of this is not showing how to actually be safe. Telling someone to say yellow when you've gone too far, that's not how you actually establish consent. And that's not how you create a good environment with good communication. Because the entire time he's doing things to her, and he expects her to finally yell red when she's past her breaking point. Yeah. Which she doesn't even yell red when he's spanking her and she's crying. And he's like, well, I hope you never have to use those words. And it's like, no, that's not the point of those words.
Yeah, he's already coerced her away from...
trying to say, well, you have this as a parachute, but you'll have to jump out of the plane, and that plane's going to continue on to paradise without you. Yeah. And the whole book, she's like, oh, if I say no, he'll leave me. And I really hated how it was very tied to no man has ever made me feel like this before. She's never loved anyone else. She's never had a crush on anyone. Ever. She's hetero and has never had a crush on a guy.
She lived in a white room. She wasn't anywhere until she got out and met Christian.
She's never met any, and all these guys liked her and went and wanted to date her. She never had a pity date with anyone. She never went out with guys and then realized that it wasn't for her. She literally is this, princess in a castle. And it's like, come on, I just call bullshit. Yeah. Even girls who are isolated, reading in their room, reading romance novels and drinking fucking weak tea.
Oh, God.
At least we'll have watched movies about sex. At least we'll have been in
they'll
this
have some amount of opinion on things.
Her friend was having sex in the living room when they came in the door. She knows how sex works. Right. Catherine, whatever, would have talked about it enough for her to understand what these things do. Yeah. But it's like, oh, I didn't know I had muscles there. I didn't know what arousal felt like.
I didn't know I had a vagina.
She doesn't know she had a vagina until she meets him.
Well, no one had ever touched it, not even her.
Apparently.
There's just this mysterious blind spot. Every time she looked down, she just saw gray.
Like in the book, he's like, I don't want you masturbating without me. And she's like, well, I don't do that anyway. And it's like, oh my God, she literally has never had a sex drive, has never romantically been interested. She could be asexual and aromantic until proof she's magically fixed by this guy.
Okay, that goes on to one of my theories that she's asexual and is just like, maybe she's just depressed or something. And this is the only thing that like excites her, because she's admitted, even herself has admitted that she's lived a very bland, safe life. And this is the only thing that excites her is fear.
And it reminded me, that same perspective reminds me of the second book in Twilight, New Moon, where Bella is chasing danger the whole book. Yeah. And she only feels like Edward still loves her when she's jumping off a cliff or riding motorbikes too fast without a helmet and shit. So, I mean, that is quite, and it's kind of like, if they had played better with the trope of the bad boy, or if they had established a relationship before this point and shown, because Christian says, I don't sleep with anyone. I've never made love. I
Like,
never have
you're
girlfriends.
so special. I slept with you in my bed.
But we've never established that's who he is as a person. He does these things and she sits up like, oh, this is normal. And she has a clear mental picture of what a boyfriend would do. A boyfriend buys me flowers, sleeps in my bed. She's perfectly comfortable with an outside of marriage sexual relationship because that's what she's seen in TV and in her friends' lives.
Right.
And then he comes in with all these other ideas and she's upset by them, but she also kind of thinks I'll fix him. And that's why it's ultimately the breakup at the end is she couldn't fix him.
Yeah, I feel like that premise, because even from the beginning, it's been him trying to change her and her trying to change him. And that's just not how you go about a relationship of any kind.
Which I felt was really good at the end, was just like, no, you want something different than what I want.
Yeah, and that would be great if it ended there and didn't go on to
3 more books. I don't know. I don't even know how many more books we're not doing. We would have to be so desperate. We would have 20 years from now, we will have read every bad book. We will remember our heyday. And we'll say, do you want to watch 50 Shades Darker? I'll get my cane. Put on my spectacles.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, this has been fun. This actually was not as awkward and painful as I thought it was going to be, discussing a porn book with my stepsister.
Stepsister, god damn it!
Sister-in-law! No!
The porn you watch.
All right. Well, I think the episode's over. Bye, everyone. Bye.